The emergency beacon erupted through the Galactic Trade Council's grand chamber like a metallic scream. Lights across the ceiling dimmed as holographic indicators flared to life, bathing the room in flashes of red. Commander Zekril of the Kryn species stepped forward, his segmented exoskeleton rattling in agitation. Even without translator support, anyone could sense panic radiating from him. "Esteemed Council," he began, voice translated into smooth galactic standard. "Kepler Station 7 is on the brink of total ecosystem failure." A ripple of shock moved through the delegates. Kepler 7 wasn't just a station. It was the economic heart of three sectors, the node through which millions of travelers passed each day. Zekril gestured at the hologram. A swarm of small, six-legged creatures shimmered into view, crystalline teeth, armored spines, eyes like black coals set into bony skulls. "The Skrith," he continued. "Their numbers have multiplied again. 17 sectors have already fallen. Our hunters have failed. Our repellents are useless. We are losing structural integrity on multiple decks." Anachin sat among the human delegation, quietly studying the projection. She was still new here, 3 months into her diplomatic post, and this was her first real crisis session. Her predecessors had warned her. The council would either ignore her or stare like she was an unpredictable new life form. Today, they were definitely staring. Ambassador Thuum, representing a gelatinous race of transparent beings, rippled anxiously. "The Skrith are adapting faster than our countermeasures. They are now chewing through alloy composites believed impossible to penetrate. We may need to abandon the station." A representative from the Ven, a tall and tentacled species, slammed 2 limbs onto the speaking platform. "Evacuate the station completely," he demanded. "Then decompress all compartments. It is the only reliable solution." "That would require 3 months of preparation," Thuum protested. "Trade across this quadrant would collapse before we even begin." Arguments erupted. A cacophony of translators, clicking mandibles, vibrating neck sacs, and modulated cybernetic speech. Anna watched, hands folded in her lap, wondering if now was the wrong time to speak. But then her section of the chamber lights illuminated. The council recognized a raised human hand. "Representative Chun," Commander Zekril said, "you wish to contribute?" Anna stood. 20 species, some towering, some floating in containment pods, some no larger than human children, turned toward her. She cleared her throat. "I believe Earth may have a practical solution," she said. A dozen multifaceted alien eyes blinked. "With respect," said the Quellian ambassador, wobbling uneasily, "Earth's technology is not known to contain advanced biological countermeasures." "This isn't a biological weapon," Anna replied. "More like an ancient partnership." Before she could elaborate, the Ven representative let out a sputtering sound. "Your species has been here 20 years. What could you possibly offer that our combined civilizations haven't invented?" Anna smiled, not smugly, but with the quiet confidence of someone who had already seen the answer play out 1,000 times on Earth. "You're not going to believe it," she said, "but yes, we actually do have something." The chamber fell silent. 2 weeks later, deep in the docking bay of a human cargo vessel, James Rodriguez stood next to dozens of sealed crates. The docking crew watched him skeptically as he performed last-minute system checks. Inside the nearest crate, something meowed. Captain Oren leaned in, incredulous. "Tell me again, James, this isn't a joke?" "No joke," James said, tapping the display. "Earth has used these little guys to control pests since before we invented writing." Oren's eyebrow twitched. "And you think they can handle these things? The Skrith eat steel. That's why we brought specialists." The crate door slid open. A large orange cat stared out, slow blink, twitching tail, as though announcing his dominance to the entire galaxy. "Meet Mango," James said proudly, one of Earth's oldest pest control professionals. Kepler Station 7 looked different when viewed through the reinforced windows of the human ship Pioneer's Pride. Normally, it shone with the bright, orderly lights of a bustling trade hub. Now half of its illumination flickered, entire docking rings running on backup power. Scorch marks from failed containment attempts scarred the outer hull. James Rodriguez adjusted the collar of his suit as the ship eased into Quarantine Bay. For a moment, He wondered if this was finally the assignment that would get him fired, or make him a legend. The cargo doors opened with a hydraulic hiss. Waiting on the other side was the welcoming committee, though welcoming wasn't the right word. Commander Zekrel stood at the front in full armor, flanked by 24 security officers wearing sealed environmental suits and clutching shock lances, like they were entering a war zone. Ambassador Thuum hovered beside them in a gel-filled exosuit, wobbling anxiously. So, Zekrel said, antennae flicking toward the crates behind James, "These are the human weapons?" James grinned. "Not weapons. Professionals." He keyed open the first container. A soft mechanical chime sounded, and the interior lights activated. A fluffy orange head emerged, squinting at the unfamiliar smells of alien metal and recycled air. Mango, overweight, confident, and utterly unfazed, stretched like he owned the place. Zekrel leaned closer. "It looks small." "It's not the size," James said. "It's the attitude." The commander's mandibles twitched skeptically. Several security officers stepped back as Mango hopped down from the crate and started sniffing the floor. His tail flicked. His ears perked. Instincts older than most civilizations sparked to life. Then the universe made a mistake. A scriff no longer than a human's hand, but vicious enough to chew through insulation tubing, darted across the floor. It froze when Mango's eyes locked onto it, and the brief, doomed moment stretched like a hell breath. Mango moved. No hesitation, no fear, no consideration for alien politics. He pounced with the speed of a launch projectile. Claws out, body low, muscles coiled with predatory precision. The scriff squealed, tried to pivot, but Mango cut off the escape path in a blur of orange fur. One strike, one bite, one dead pest. Silence swallowed the bay. Ambassador Thuum quivered. By the cosmic tides, the creature dispatched a scriff with no armor, no weaponry, no shielding. James shrugged. Cats don't need any of that. He opened more crates. One by one, cats stepped into a galaxy they didn't care about, only sniffing for prey. A sleek black panther-like feline named Shadow slipped out silently, her green eyes analyzing every vent panel. Patches, a calico with one ear nicked from a past barn fight, climbed immediately onto the nearest railing to get a better vantage point. A white Persian strutted out next, annoyed at being removed from her soft bedding, but already scanning the shadows for movement. Zekrel stared at the team. "These are apex predators on your world." "Absolutely," James replied. "Humanity has selectively partnered with them for thousands of years. They evolved as stealth hunters, quiet, fast, incredibly patient. They track by vibration, sound, and instinct. Your Draxan hunters chase prey. Cats stalk it." Shadow suddenly leapt 6 feet straight upward, clinging effortlessly to a ventilation grate. A second scriff was hiding inside. The cat yanked it out with a precision that made 3 guards audibly gasp. "That one," Zekrel whispered, "is terrifying." "She's adorable," James corrected. Anachin entered the bay a moment later, carrying a datapad loaded with a full deployment plan. "All teams are ready," she announced. "We have 63 cats total. Trained mousers, rehabilitated ferals, and some house pets who think this is a luxury resort with moving toys." Zekrel rubbed his forehead plate. "Who commands them?" James laughed outright. "Commander, nobody commands cats." Ambassador Thuum let out a troubled gurgle. "Then how do you ensure compliance?" "You don't," James replied. "You trust them, and you get out of their way." The cats began fanning out across the bay, sniffing, stalking, slinking under equipment, climbing onto crates as if mapping the terrain. Zekrel swallowed. "Very well. Deploy your specialists." He paused. "And may the stars protect us all." Kepler Station 7 was a massive labyrinth of corridors, cargo holds, hydroponic farms, living quarters, and maintenance shafts. An artificial world stretched across rotating rings and zero-gravity hubs. For months, every sector had echoed with the skittering chaos of Scrith infestation. But after the cats arrived, the station felt different. Not safer. Not yet. Just watched. Every shadow seemed to hold a pair of gleaming eyes. The hunt begins. James and Anna stood with Commander Zekril on an upper-level walkway overlooking Sector 12, a once bustling trading lane now abandoned and sealed. Skrith had burrowed into air ducts, gnawed through power conduits, and even disrupted local gravity stabilizers. But today, the sector was quiet. So the cats had been loose for 4 hours, Anna said, checking her pad. Heat signatures of Skrith activity already down 30%. Zekril's antennae twitched. How? Your animals lack coordination. There is no strategic structure. James smirked. Cats don't need a strategy. They are the strategy. Down below, shadows slink along the wall like liquid shadow, tail low, eyes burning green. She paused, ears rotating toward a faint clicking sound emerging from a pile of displaced cargo crates. Her pupils dilated. Shadow froze, then exploded into motion, faster than Zekril's eyes could follow. She dove between the crates, and the sound that followed was unmistakable. A Skrith shriek cut off abruptly. Shadow has eliminated her ninth target. Anna noted without looking up. She's setting a new personal record. Is she enjoying this? Zekril whispered. James chuckled. Deeply. Zero-gravity hunters. Sector 8 was even more interesting. The entire area had been put in zero-G mode after the Skrith chewed through the stabilizer. The floating environment was dangerous for most species, but the cats adapted with alarming speed. Commander Zekril, Anna, and James watched the transparent bulkhead as 4 cats drifted to the air like furry, mildly annoyed satellites. A ginger kitten named Sprout rotated in slow circles, confused but fascinated by the sensation. Every time he drifted too far, his paws paddled uselessly. Then something clicked. He spotted a Skrith clinging to a ceiling vent. Sprout tucked himself into a ball, kicked off a rail, and launched like a furry torpedo. He collided with the Skrith, the two tumbling into a spinning loop of chaos. The kitten clung on with surprising tenacity until the pest stopped struggling. Anna covered her mouth. That's adorable and horrifying. They are adapting faster than expected, Zekril murmured. Your warriors seem comfortable in every environment. They're not warriors, James corrected. They're problem solvers. The cats gained fan clubs. Word spread quickly. The humans' feline specialists were clearing sectors that had resisted every known galactic pest control method. Morale across the station skyrocketed. Teams of workers peeked out of sealed habitats just to watch the little predators work. Some aliens left offerings of treats, fabrics, glowing sticks, or edible gels after humans assured them not to poison the cats. One species, the feathered Krelan, began trailing after a particularly fluffy black and white cat named Marshall, believing him to be a reincarnated guardian spirit. Marshall tolerated their presence only because they brushed his fur with miniature feather dusters. He has worshippers, Anna observed flatly. James grinned. He's always known he deserved them. Unexpected intelligence. But it wasn't all playful antics. The cats demonstrated startlingly advanced hunting comprehension inside a half-demolished hydroponics farm. Patches paused at a junction where 3 ventilation lines met. Her tail twitched rhythmically, left, right, left. Then she abruptly darted into the smallest vent. Seconds later, a Skrith burst out of the opposite grill directly into the path of another cat, Princess, who pounced with elegant precision. Zekril replayed the security footage twice. Did they set an ambush? Yep, James said proudly. Barn cats do that all the time. The commander stared blankly at the screen. I don't understand your world. Few do, Anna replied. The turning tide. By the end of the first day, Skrith numbers had fallen by nearly half. The station sensors showed clusters of cats moving like tiny coordinated strike teams, though none were actually working together intentionally. Their instincts simply overlapped in ways that created accidental tactical genius. And for the first time in weeks, the ambient noise in Kepler Station 7 shifted. Less scratching in walls, fewer distant shrieks, more purring, lots of purring. Zekril exhaled slowly. Perhaps your people truly have brought salvation. James smiled. Just wait. This is only day 1. Kepler Station 7 had never been quiet. Even before the infestation, it pulsed with the endless hum of commerce. Loading cranes, vendor chatter, shuttle engines. But now it was a different calm, an almost sacred hush that settled over sectors once overrun with Skrith. The silence wasn't empty. It was confident. The predators were here. Princess and the Warehouse of Doom. In a vast cargo warehouse, previously one of the worst infestation zones, a lone Persian named Princess trotted across the metal flooring with an elegance that made several alien workers whisper reverently. Her fluffy white tail swayed like she was royalty inspecting conquered territory. Commander Zekril, James, and Anna watched from the upper observation deck. I am not accustomed to feeling safe, Zekril admitted, in the presence of such a delicate creature. Delicate? James blinked. Princess has ended more Skrith than your sector security team. As if to demonstrate, Princess abruptly stopped mid-stride. Her ears twitched forward. Her pupils narrowed. Without warning, she launched herself onto a support beam, scaling it with surprising agility for a cat who typically refused to move unless offered food or praise. The workers below gasped. Something skittered across the roof plating. Princess sprinted along the beam, balanced with perfect grace, and then performed what could only be described as a tactical dive, landing directly atop a Skrith attempting to gnaw into a water pipe. One crunch later, Princess flicked her tail and strutted away, leaving the dead pest as a warning. Anna tapped Zekril's arm. That was her left ear scratch spot motivation. What incentive is that? Zekril asked. She expects someone to scratch behind her left ear for her hard work. Zekril stared. Your warriors require petting as compensation? Some require treats too, James added. The commander made a noise halfway between disbelief and acceptance. It is a small price to pay. The adaptability of Earth's predators. Elsewhere, security teams followed Marshall, Shadow, Patches, Mango, and a dozen more across half the station. Alien officers took notes, as if trying to decode divine strategy. The cats ignored them. In Sector 19, a ventilation duct had become a Skrith superhighway. Zekril informed the humans that dozens of extermination drones had failed to penetrate the narrow maze. Anna crouched next to a vent and opened a small carrier door. A lean tortoiseshell cat named Gypsy stepped out, sniffing the stale air. Zekril asked, Is this one also a proven hunter? Gypsy once cleared an entire earth barn after a grain shipment attracted 3 different species of vermin. James said proudly. She got bored halfway through and still won. As if on cue, Gypsy disappeared into the vent like a whisper. Moments later, security monitors lit up, Skrith fleeing down the ducts, Gypsy appearing around corners with impossible timing. 2 Skrith doubling back, only to run straight into Mango, waiting at the opposite grill. A synchronized elimination that looked rehearsed but wasn't. Zekril's armor plates lifted in astonishment. How did they predict the escape path? They didn't, James said. Cats don't strategize in the way you think. Then what is this? Opportunity execution. Anna nodded. Cats don't plan 5 steps ahead. They observe and pounce the second they see a weakness. Zekril looked genuinely impressed. Remarkable, efficient, ruthless, also adorable. Anna added, the turning point, by Sunset Cycle, or the Kepler equivalent. The station's infestation metrics shifted dramatically. Data streams flowed across the main control hub as engineers and analysts monitored Skrith population collapse. Sector 5, 78% cleared. Sector 12, 96% cleared. Sector 19, Gypsy owns his place now, engineers note. 0G hub, dominated by Sprout the spinning ginger missile. But more than the numbers was the atmosphere. For the first time in months, residents emerged from sealed habitats. Children of multiple species whispered excitedly about the silent hunters. Merchants reopened shop shutters. Maintenance teams repaired systems without fear of being attacked from the walls. And everywhere, one could see a cat lounging proudly as if taking credit for civilization itself. Princess napped on a security console. Marshall patrolled with his Kree-Len followers in single-file reverence. Shadow vanished into darkness, only to reappear with new trophies. The station felt alive again, not haunted. A threat resurfaces. But Kepler 7 wasn't completely saved yet. Late into the final shift, an alert chimed across Central Command. Anna looked up. That's a high-level system breach signal. Zekro stiffened. It originates from the biomass recycling plant, one of the last untouched areas. James frowned. Untouched because he sealed it? Zekro nodded grimly. Sensors detected something larger than a skrith. Anna exchanged a glance with James. Something larger, she repeated slowly. And you waited until now to tell us? Zekro swallowed. Because we believed nothing could survive in there. James exhaled. Well, good thing we brought specialists. Anna turned toward the speaker system. Recall the hunting teams? James shook his head. No, we bring the best of them. His eyes drifted to Mango, who was washing his paw with serene confidence. Time to send in the king. The biomass recycling plant of Kepler Station 7 was not meant for living things, certainly not anything large. It was a massive labyrinthine complex of grinders, chutes, nutrient vats, and automated mixers. Even standing outside the sealed blast doors made Anna feel uneasy. The hum inside was deeper than normal. Wrong. Like something was breathing behind the metal. Commander Zekril gestured to the holographic readout. A blob of shifting red signatures pulsed across the map, far too big for a lone skrith. This section was the first place the infestation began, he explained. We sealed it off weeks ago. Sensors went dark shortly after. What's the size? James asked. Zekril hesitated. The mass signature is inconsistent. Sometimes small, sometimes large. That's comforting, Anna muttered. Security teams assembled along the corridor, clutching their shock lances. Even the bravest officer stepped back as mechanical claws disengaged and a heavy door slowly groaned open, releasing a wave of warm, stale air. Something inside skittered. Something big. James looked down at Mango. The orange cat stared into the darkness, tail flicking with the slow deliberation of a hunter analyzing his battlefield. You ready, buddy? James whispered. Mango yawned and walked inside, into the belly of the station. The interior of the recycling plant was vast and dimly lit. Overhead lights flickered, casting long shadows that stretched across conveyor belts and vats filled with nutrient slurry. The air smelled metallic and sour. The humans and aliens followed cautiously several paces behind Mango, who moved with the swagger of someone who had never doubted victory in his life. Anna whispered, Why does he walk like he owns a galaxy? Because he thinks he does, James replied. Shadow, Princess, Patches, Gypsy, and Marshall joined the mission, padding silently across the grated flooring. Sensors attached to their collars streamed data directly to the control tablet Anna carried. Zekril watched the screen nervously. Many heat signatures, but stationary, possibly hibernating skrith. James frowned. Skrith don't hibernate. Mango stopped, his head tilted. A deep, throaty growl echoed to the chamber, too resonant for a normal skrith. Something was in the shadows, watching them, breathing. Then the wall moved. No, detached itself. A massive creature emerged from behind the machinery, cobbled together from skrith bodies fused into a hideous amalgamation. Dozens of legs twitched beneath its bulk. Crystallized teeth jutted in irregular patterns across its swollen jawline. It was a colony that had merged into a single organism, a monstrous hive mind alpha. Anna gasped, That's not possible. Zekril staggered backward. A skrith conglomerate. The infestation evolved. The creature screeched, the sound sharp enough to rattle metal beams. Security officers raised weapons, but James held up a hand. Wait! Across the floor, Mango had not moved. He simply stared at the monster, and then his tail flicked. Showtime, James whispered. The battle of the Alpha Skrith. The monster lunged first. A mass of writhing limbs surged toward the group, its body scraping against the floor with a deafening screech. Security teams fired stun blasts, but the creature shrugged them off with disturbing ease. Mango! James shouted, but Mango was already moving. The orange cat sprinted forward, silent, controlled, deadly. The other cats fanned out instinctively. Shadows slipped into the darkness, a phantom sliding toward the creature's flank. Princess leapt onto a control platform for a height advantage. Patches darted beneath conveyor belts like a streak of fury. Marshall issued a battle cry, a loud, heroic meow that echoed across the chamber. The monster swiped with a limb the size of a small tree trunk. Mango dodged effortlessly, jumping onto a fallen crate, then launching himself higher. Anna whispered, "He's aiming for the central node, the cluster of eyes." James grinned. "Smart boy." Shadow struck first, clawing at the creature's leg joints, forcing its balance to falter. Patches jumped onto another limb, biting into exposed tissue. Princess leapt from above, landing directly atop the monster's skull-like crown, her claws digging into one of its many eyes. But the alpha scrith roared and reared up, shaking them off violently. The cat scattered, unharmed but repositioning. And then Mango leapt. The jump was extraordinary, clean, powerful, and perfectly aimed. Mango latched onto the alpha's central nerve mass with the fury of every earth hunter that came before him. His claws sank deep. The monster convulsed, thrashing wildly. Shadow and Patches struck again simultaneously. Marshall launched himself at a secondary eye cluster. Princess, despite her fluffy dignity, delivered a finishing bite to an exposed neural cord. The creature wailed, a horrible, shuddering scream, and collapsed. The floor trembled. The monster didn't move again. Silence returned to the recycling plant, except for Mango, who calmly groomed himself atop the corpse. Anna exhaled. Did they just kill a monster that ate 3 sectors of station? James nodded. Yep. Zeke stared at the cats with newfound fear and respect. Your people are terrifying. The recycling plant alarms finally went silent. For the first time in months, no emergency lights pulsed, no ventilation ducts shook, and no unseen pests scurried through the walls. The oppressive tension that had clung to Kepler Station 7 loosened like a collective exhale. Mango hopped down from the fallen alpha scriff, landing with a soft thump. He strutted toward James and sat proudly at his feet, as if demanding acknowledgement for saving an entire galactic trade nexus. James knelt and scratched him behind the ears. You're a hero, buddy. Mango purred loudly enough to vibrate the metal grate. Commander Zekril, still staring at the monster's lifeless bulk, seemed caught between awe and existential dread. Your small companions defeated a creature that resisted every weapon we possess, he whispered. How does Earth function with such predators roaming freely? Anna smirked, very carefully. The aftermath. Within the next 48 hours, Kepler Station buzzed with the energy of rebirth. Teams of engineers worked tirelessly to restore systems the Scrith had crippled. Ventilation filters were replaced. Gravity generators rebooted. Cargo lanes reopened. Merchant ships that had been forced to orbit in long queues finally docked, bringing life back to the marketplace. Everywhere, cats were celebrated. Kreela and Featherfolk followed Marshall like spiritual acolytes, creating miniature banners with a silhouette. Princess received the first Royal Huntress Medal, a shiny medallion she immediately tried to chew. Shadow was caught on camera leaping through a vent in slow motion, footage that quickly became the station's most downloaded video. Food vendors began offering honor treats, in bowls placed discreetly outside their kitchens. Cleanup drones had to be programmed to ignore these dishes, so they wouldn't accidentally tidy up tribute offerings. The station felt different, hopeful, alive, and the cats embraced their roles with great enthusiasm. Some demanded constant affection. Some claimed entire hallways as their domain. Some slept 12 hours at a time on newly repaired consoles, forcing officers to work around them lest they disturb the galaxy's furry heroes. Mango, naturally, commandeered the crew lounge couch and refused to relinquish it. A galactic acknowledgement. A formal ceremony was held in the central atrium, a glittering chamber filled with banners from dozens of species. Delegates packed the balcony tiers, their gazes fixed on the stage where Zekel stood beside Anna and James. We gather, Zekel announced, to honor the unexpected saviors of our home, the humans and their astonishing companions. Mango, Shadow, Princess, Patches, Gypsy, Marshall, Sprout, and dozens more sat in a row of soft pads designed specifically for the event. Only 3 cats stayed seated. The rest wandered the stage, sniffing equipment, rubbing on podium legs, or interrupting speeches by climbing onto the nearest alien. The audience adored it. Anna stepped forward. Earth has many tools, she said, voice steady. But sometimes the oldest ones, the ones we evolved alongside, turn out to be the most reliable. Applause echoed across the hall. James added, let this be a reminder that not every solution is technological. Sometimes nature already wrote the answer millions of years ago. The crowd applauded again, louder. Then Zekro lifted a shimmering plaque carved from iridescent station alloy. By unanimous vote, he declared, the Galactic Trade Council recognizes Earth's feline deterrence program as an officially sanctioned biological pest control unit. Cheers erupted. Cameras flashed. 1,000 datapads recorded. A dozen species whispered about obtaining their own cats. Princess yawned and attempted to nap on the plaque itself. The future of the hunters. Later, when the ceremony ended and the station returned to its routine, Anna and James walked along a quiet observation deck. Below them, the stars drifted slowly past as Kepler-7 rotated in its orbital path. This could change everything, Anna said softly. Half the council already want to negotiate long-term contracts. James chuckled. Cats don't sign contracts. They don't need to, she replied. They just show up and save the day. They paused as Mango hopped onto the railing, staring out into space like he was contemplating his next conquest. The orange cat flicked his tail, his gaze locked on distant galaxies. Anna smiled. He looks like he's planning to take over the cosmos. He probably is, James said. Mango glanced back at them with a slow blink. The universal sign of feline superiority and affection combined. And somewhere deep in the ducts, a lone surviving skrith made an unfortunate noise. Mango's ears perked. His pupils sharpened. His body tensed. Without hesitation, he leapt off the railing and vanished into shadows, every instinct roaring to life. James laughed. And just like that, peace never lasts. Anna shook her head affectionately. Warrior, ambassador, cat. James grinned proudly. The galaxy's oldest predator, finally recognized the hero he is. Lights from distant stars shimmered across the station windows as the tiny feline hunt resumed once more. Earth's furry ambassadors bringing order to the cosmos, one pounce at a time.